So look at this despicable, disgusting story. A family of kids who froze to death reached out at least 3 times to Detroit's homeless response team. 2 kids are going to freeze to death. One is age 2 and the other one was age 9. And the cops are mulling over whether or not they should charge the mother. She's living in a van, right, with 5 kids. 3 kids lived. It was the 9-year-old that she had, was worried about. She was worried about the 9-year-old. Called 911 and then come to find out the 2-year-old had died of some sort of hypothermia or coldness. A family facing homelessness reached out at least 3 times to Detroit's homeless response team. So the police are thinking about charging the mother. But isn't this really just a crime against humanity? Isn't this like everybody's responsibility? We just sent $7 billion to Israel to continue to do their genocide against the children of Gaza and the West Bank and Bethlehem. Is it any wonder that a nation that finances genocide of children to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, right? I mean, old man Joe Biden, we got to make sure that old senile demented Joe Biden, his policies carry on strong, because we don't have the courage, we don't have the backbone, we don't have the fortitude to say that the murder of children is wrong. Nelson Mandela said that America doesn't give a damn about human beings. Cornel West says that the genocide in Gaza absolutely exposes us. It says that the U.S. government believes in criminality, immorality, and hypocrisy. So the Detroit Mayor, Mike Dugan, is calling for a review of the city's services. Let's see, they're in a van in a casino parking lot structure. A parking lot structure. They reached out at least 3 times. We need to make sure it doesn't happen again. Are we doing everything we need to do? The preliminary review of city records shows that the mother of 5 reached out at least 3 times, and the last being November 25th, 2024. In the course of that conversation, they didn't have a resolution, and they didn't say, hey, did you ever find that spot? They also didn't declare that it was an emergency. The mayor said what made Monday's tragedy even worse was that there was shelter space available for families that evening just a few miles from the Hollywood casino parking structure in Greektown. I remember getting into some sort of online debate. I was talking about UBI checks. If you give people, $10,000, they can spend that money as they want. Martin Luther King and both Milton Friedman and Martin Luther King Jr. said that they were in favor of it. So that's, Milton Friedman, can you get any more conservative than that? That's, economics 101. And then MLK is, a democratic socialist. So that's the right and the left uniting UBI checks that saves capitalism and also makes sure that there's no poor people and definitely no homeless people. You know what $7 billion that we just sent to Israel could do? Here, let's go ahead and add this up, okay? So, let's see. Do we have a calculator here? Where's a calculator? All right, pull this calculator up. And if we just go ahead and say, $7 billion, that's 1,000 million, right? That's 1,000 million. So there's 7 million. There's 7 billion. 7 billion divided by 10,000. Let's go ahead and get 10, let's get some tiny homes. Arnold Schwarzenegger built a whole bunch of tiny homes. I heard that the city of Pueblo they rejected tiny homes because if you build tiny homes for people, well then hell, you might get more homeless people in there. So that $7 billion, $10,000 tiny homes, that builds 700,000. That's how many, we have 650,000 homeless folks. So that means this family would actually have a home to live in. America doesn't care about human beings. America doesn't care. America doesn't give a damn. And it's despicable. It's disgusting. Instead of, Jesus says that if you want to lead the people, then you must be a servant for everybody. But then if you're a king, well then you just want all the accolades and you want the glory and you want, everything to come to you and you want to make sure you got a meme coin so that way you can make a extra, million or $1 billion while you're sitting there supposed to be working for the American people. $7 billion would have solved homelessness. Instead of giving a damn about homelessness, we went ahead and spent a whole pile of money to continue the genocide. Monday's tragedy was even worse. There was even shelter space. So they had shelter space. That's the problem with all these patchwork programs. You got this program over here, that program over there, some money over here, money over there. They'll make sure anybody that they know about, right, their family and friends would get on that program, but are they going to give it to the general public? The general public will have to come in at the right time, at the right moment. And if you're poor or homeless, well, you're supposed to know where this money is supposed to be funneled over here, over there, and then you got to fill out this application and that application. How many times does a mother of 5 have to say, we are homeless, we have no place to go? She probably just gave up on the Detroit Homeless Service. I've already called them 3 damn times. How many times do I have to say, I got 5 kids and I am homeless, we're living out a damn van, and then they just kept on moving around from, parking lot to parking spot. So this is Greektown. It brings home the point that having services doesn't mean that people have access to them. The Detroit police, Todd Bettison, he said there was a preliminary investigation. They've been living out of their van for 2 to 3 months, staying in various casino parking lots. She allegedly parked in the Greektown structure around 1 a.m. on Monday, parking on the 9th floor. At some point, her van ran out of gas or had a mechanical failure. So she just got there, and where was she supposed to go? The mother and children would sometimes use the casino restrooms and had parked in other casino parking lots in the city. They moved around from various casino parking lots. Autopsy hasn't been completed yet, but they believe that the children had died of hypothermia. The mother noticed one of the children, the 9-year-old, wasn't breathing, so she called 911 at 12 p.m. City officials on Tuesday urged those facing homelessness to seek services. Oh yeah, she did. She sought services, but a lot of these bureaucratic assholes, man, you would think if you work in, the social services, you would actually have a heart. You would actually have compassion. You would have empathy. You would have love, You work as just a bureaucrat. You're just getting a paycheck, and then what? Are you hating everybody that you're supposed to be helping? We got to do a better job of educating people. Is that the problem? It's not the lack of empathy, I'm sure. And then they said he wouldn't confirm. The investigation is ongoing. The department will present its findings to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Oh yeah, good going. He wouldn't confirm a criminal investigation is being pursued. Of course it is. And you know what? If they go to arrest the woman, they need to arrest all these, the mayor and the society and the neighbors and anybody that came across them, and then these casinos, right? This big old casino's got this big old parking garage, and when I think about how there's 22 empty houses? 22 empty houses per homeless person. So that means we care more about the ownership class, what the bank owns, instead of making sure that our people are taken care of. In Las Vegas, there's people that's living in the sewers. They're living in the sewers. They've given up. They don't know where else to go, so they're just living in the sewers. I'm just going to stay down here and with my little, string cheese and slowly starve to death until there's nothing left in me. Why? Because at least I'm over by myself and I'm around other similarly situated people. This is sick. It's supposed to be the greatest country in the world. There's so much money, there's so much wealth, and yet 2 kids are going to freeze to death in Detroit, Michigan. Did they ever fix their water pipes? At least 3 children lived. 3 children said that they were evaluated, then they were staying with relatives. The children that lived were ranged from 2 to 13. According to Dugan, aside from reaching out last fall, the mother involved in Monday's tragedy also reached out earlier in the summer and back into the previous year. The mayor said the city has outreach workers, 2 employed by Detroit, 32 from 6 other funded providers, including CAS, Community Social Services, and Neighborhood Services Organization. If it's an emergency situation, we send one of these outreach workers, because when you're on the phone, you have people with complicated problems. Sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly what the circumstances are. When you send an agent out there and they actually lays eyes on the situation, then they know exactly what to do. The city opened a drop-in center on December 16th for families in need of housing or shelter. We were opening it to be ahead of the worst temperatures of the winter. At least as far as we've been able to determine so far, the family never called back for service. What happened to your situation? Was it resolved, or to indicate that there might have been a room available? She loved her kids. She wanted to keep the family together, so it looked like she had a lot of pride. Duggan said he's asked Deputy Mayor Malia Howard and Julie Schneider, director. I mean, they're dead already, so you've already fucked up. It's kind of like a defense coordinator, right? You don't care about the defense of a football team, but if the quarterback gets sacked, well, then the defense messed up. So the only time people pay attention to the defense is when they mess up, when somebody was able to break through the line. Well, Detroit, you fucked up. You fucked up big fucking time. Oh, you got a housing resource helpline, huh? Oh, okay. Do you need a cell phone? I mean, how are you going to call that? You're going to, what, go to a pay phone? How are you going to call that damn phone number? It operates Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. So, you know, the coldest hours of the day when they were freezing to death, they couldn't have reached out. Even if they had a cell phone, they couldn't have called anybody. I mean, this has happened actually a whole bunch of times. There's a guy in Cincinnati that was frozen to death specifically. There's been people, I read about it all the time. There's one in Georgia, one in Oregon. I mean, this is the greatest country in the world. I mean, people have such pish-posh, extra comfortable lives. It's disgusting. What did Martin Luther King said? That he came to comfort the disturbed and to disturb the comfortable? This is fucked up. We have plenty of money to build tiny homes for all the homeless people that are out there. In China, if you lose your jobs, they don't evict you. In China, they have, you know, postmodern societies. Their cars are postmodern, their buildings are postmodern, they look futuristic. Not only do they got bullet trains too. So they got transportation systems, they got smart cars, they got just beautiful, you know, was it Shanghai? It's just a gorgeous city. And another thing that China does is they charge rent as a proportion of your income. So if you lose your job and you're not making any income, well, then you're not kicked out of your, you know, hotel or, you know, apartment or rental home or home that's, you know, foreclosed on the bank. They don't kick you out because you pay a percentage of your income. So if you lose your job, you don't lose your home. But this is dog-eat-dog capitalist America. This is dog-eat-dog capitalist America. You got the Uniparty, a bunch of imperialist, capitalistic assholes. You know, you would have thought at least one communist would have become president since, you know, when was that? The Russian Revolution, 1917? It's been over 100 years. You would have think, I mean, if anything, we kind of need a little bit of heart, a little bit of, you know, give a shitness. Somebody to be, you know, somebody who gives a damn. And it sucks that Bernie Sanders didn't become president and now he's getting old, and I don't know if there's nobody in line right now. If Bernie was going to run, he should declare his, you know, presidential run right now so that way his words would match and equal the, you know, fascist. And unfortunately, World War II taught us that you can use fascists to stop communism because communism is the worst threat ever in the world. Yeah, to the capitalist class, to the ownership class, to the financial service class, to the billionaires. Yeah, communism, and even, I mean, there's some, Warren Buffett says he should be taxed more. So it's almost like, I don't know why I'm not taxed more, to be honest with you. So he says that anybody who needs help after 6 p.m., they should go to their closest police precinct. Why? So you could arrest the mother. He said officers work hand in hand with the city's homeless prevention team. Detroit has 18 homeless shelters and warming centers. Not all of them accept families and children. They were trying to not point a finger in any direction. Detroit system. You lost 2 innocent lives, and that's not acceptable. It's fucking revolting and disgusting. Unfortunately, this kind of bullshit just happens way too much in America. Just way too much. I mean, shootings, there's 50, just a couple days ago, 50 people were shot. And half of them ended in a death. So when I think about all the problems that, you know, America's got real problems and none of them are actually being addressed. None of them are being addressed. People have money issues. People have just a whole bunch of stuff. So 2 kids froze to death in Detroit. 2 kids froze to death in Detroit, Michigan. 25 warming center beds, 35 warming center beds, 460 shelter beds. The centralized hotline should operate 24/7. Yes, absolutely. Why would they not have a 24/7? And then it should go straight to voicemail, but then the voicemail should go straight to the person's phone. You should ping like about 20 people when a person calls in. They are cold. They are freezing to death. Can you imagine what that must feel like to be those children? You're cold as hell and you feel that you're cold as hell. And the only thing that'll save you, I mean, if you have 2 blankets and you would need a ballgame, need some warm hat. I feel like if you have shelter, a warm hat, 2 blankets, then you could probably survive a lot of things because you have body heat. And then if you could preserve your body heat, but if you're freezing cold and then you know that freezing is 32 degrees, you're just getting colder and colder and colder until you freeze to death. You know how patient and I want to say good and honest, but just how patient you got to be to just freeze to death. To freeze to death, you would think the body would kick into overdrive or something, or just say, "Hey, wake up! You're about to freeze to death." Having to wait hours or days for referral doesn't reflect the reality. Don't stop, helping someone save their lives. Cam, next steps, the city's deputy mayor, they're going to do a complete process review. Oh, okay, good job. We will provide the mayor with that feedback and those actionable items. Okay, they're speaking still like bureaucratic speak. You fuck the fuck up. Apologize, okay? Yeah, maybe you could do some things that'll help that out, but ultimately, you're going to build some tiny homes. The people that don't have homes, they need homes. The reason why people don't build homes because it'll encourage more homeless people. So if Detroit does something good for the homeless, then that means that means nobody, San Francisco isn't going to do it, New York isn't going to do it, Tallahassee, none of the cities are going to do something great for the homeless, because if they do, then that'll encourage more homeless people, and then they don't want to. This is a national problem. They keep on, kicking the can and just sweeping the problem under the rug. They don't give a damn. This is a national issue, which means it's up to America to do something about it. The American government has all the money. If you look at the preamble, what are the end objects to America? What's the point of having this damn government? Well, you're supposed to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if you don't have life, then what the hell does liberty and the pursuit of happiness matter? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. They didn't debate. They debated like every single line of the Constitution, but when they came up with that sentence, everybody was like, yep, that's it. That's exactly what we are about. So this helps with domestic tranquility. This helps promote the general welfare. How are they going to enjoy their freedoms when they're in a coffin? Are they even going to get regular burial services? And then they're still homeless. They're living with relatives right now, right? So eventually somebody done something. Yeah. I mean, Jesus, fuck. They say she's a proud woman or what? Maybe, her family's filled with a bunch of assholes that don't give a fuck either. And that the culture, right? The whole thing with capitalism, Marx says that capitalism actually is revolutionary. And it's revolutionary in good and bad ways. So it kind of, destroyed serfdom, and it destroyed like a whole bunch of old plantation systems, just a whole bunch of systems prior to it, and capitalism, but the machine just keeps churning. You got to make the product, make the service, get it out there, hurry. You got to sell. So you got to get up, work. People in a capitalist society, even when you sleep, you feel guilty for sleeping. Oh, I can't sleep my 8 hours a day, but you need that. That's what you need. That's what your body needs. People can, want things or wish for things, but that's a necessary, you got to do that for your life. But if I sleep 8 hours, then I'm not working a job and I'm not making a $10, an hour thing. And so if I'm not making money, then that means I'm not getting the money. I'm just wasting my life. I'll sleep when I die. I've heard people say that. I'll sleep when I die. Oh yeah, you'll sleep when you die. Oh, okay. But then I guess you'll sleep for a really long time then. But you could have a better waking life if you get yourself a good night's rest. You need sleep. Sleep is a necessity. You need sleep. You need to get your 8 hours a night, or at least 4 hours, throughout the day. So this is fucked up, Detroit, and every other place. Let's see if we see any other places too. Let's just person froze to death. America. So 2 children. Trial begins for men accused of smuggling family who froze to death in Canada during an ill-fated attempt to enter the U.S. 2 children likely froze to death as family slept in van. Charleston mayor gives statement about unhoused man's death. So what is that? Charleston, North Carolina or something? Man experiencing homelessness reportedly found frozen. An Ottawa counselor. So that's Canada. Canada's cold, but here, at least 72 deaths in the U.S. are connected to severe weather. So it happens. Woman likely to froze to death in Milwaukee after tripping. She was found frozen to death, face down in a snowbank. That happened last year. Man froze to death after being locked in jail's kitchen. There was a woman that was found frozen to death on top of a hospital. Mystery deepens over Kansas City men found dead who went to watch the NFL game at a friend's home and died without him knowing. 91-year-old froze to death outside her retirement home. Vera Wilson left her retirement home in the middle of the night, was locked out, found frozen to death hours later. Mentally ill men froze to death in Alabama jail. Anthony Don Mitchell, 33 years of age, arrived at a hospital emergency room with a body temperature of 72 degrees, pronounced dead hours later. More people are homeless. An increase in hypothermia deaths is linked to a rise in homelessness, especially in California, which has the nation's largest homeless population. Families of 3 Chiefs fans found frozen to death outside. So David Harrington, Ricky Johnson, and Clayton McGreeny were found dead in the backyard of their pal Jordan Willis's Kansas City, Missouri home. Man freezes to death in Alabama's jail's walk-in freezer. Ohio man found frozen to death at home. This is the greatest country in the world, huh? Not for the people that fucking froze to fucking death. The bodies of 4 people, including a baby and a teenager, were found in Canada near the U.S. border. At least 14 unhoused people froze to death in L.A. last year. Man found frozen to death at bus stops as winter storm kills. 6 people killed by frozen roads and frigid. 3 Kansas City Chief fans suspected hypothermia deaths in Holmes Mountain, Texas. An Indian family froze to death at the U.S.-Canada border. 2 children believed to have frozen to death in van parked. Frozen man, Australian man, cryogenically frozen after death. So let's just look at this one article here. Charleston mayor gives statement on the death of unhoused man. This was this year. This just happened last month. So Charleston, this is Virginia, West Virginia. Kanawha. We're saddened to hear the news that a man had passed away during the cold temperatures. In light of this news, we're reminded of the importance of our community's collective efforts to help ensure the well-being of our most vulnerable community members. The warming threshold was reportedly increased. See, Charleston, West Virginia. So this just happened 1 month ago in West Virginia. An unhoused man found under the Spring Street Bridge in Charleston early Saturday morning after he reportedly froze to death. Actually, I just heard another one. I mean, this is supposed to be, we're Christians. I keep on hearing on Fox News how much of a Christian nation this is. Where was that at? In Costilla County, right? There was a man found dead. And then what he had died of. Body of unidentified man found in San Luis. Multiple agencies are investigating after one person was found dead. This is animal attack. So this is different right here. According to, this was November 26th, so this is when she had reached out. According to the Costilla County Sheriff Danny Sanchez, a tourist was walking near the Stations of the Cross footpath on Saturday afternoon when he spotted the lifeless body of a man under the bridge that crosses the Rito Seco Creek at the intersection of 142 and 159 in San Luis. Sanchez says the report came, who is this guy? They haven't identified the person, and, you know, this is what Costilla County is about. Costilla County don't give a damn about people. If this guy was building himself a home, they would have tried to figure out a way to kick him out and say that he didn't do his planning and zoning permits. And even if they paid for the planning and zoning permits, then if someone would have ran over his dog and would have shot at him, you know, try to assassinate him 8 times, 39 bullets, they wouldn't have gave a damn. None of the authorities give a shit. The Catholics, the Christians, people don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. Why did this guy freeze to death in Costilla County? Because nobody gives a shit. The body must have been there for days. They've been there for a few days. And then with the cold weather, the body freezes up and stays that way. Rigor mortis also does so. At this point, we think it's an unattended death due to the weather. An investigator with the DA's office came to the scene, suspected it was a death due to the elements. Oh, wow, fucking brilliant. How about you all being a bunch of psychopaths that don't give a shit about people who are being criminalized, people who are being attacked, people... You don't think that has anything to do with it, you fucking psychopathic, fucking thieving ass pieces of shit? The body is with the Costilla County coroner, will be sent to Colorado Springs for identification, maybe an autopsy. Sanchez letter confirmed that identification will be made by the El Paso County coroner. They haven't made an identification yet. They're not asking for the public's assistance in the case at this time. If we do make an identification with the name, we may ask the public if anyone had any contact with the individual, but we're not making that request now. We don't want to know the story of this guy. We don't want to know if anybody knew him, if anybody loved him, if anybody gives a damn. We just don't want to care. We're not going to give a damn. No, no, no. We're not going to give a shit. We're not going to give a shit, okay? We're not going to do it. So, is this the same thing? Monte Vista, body of unidentified man. Is this the same thing? What is this? Mineral County Miner, and then Monte Vista Journal, but it's going to be the same thing. There's no threat to the public and no foul play is anticipated, and we're not making that request right now. They don't want to write up a full report. They don't want to know who this guy is because they don't give a shit. Man lived, man died. Who gives a shit? Everybody should read Ecclesiastes. For every season, there's a time for everything. Ecclesiastes starts out with the life is pointless. You do a bunch of bad, it doesn't matter. If you do a bunch of good, it all doesn't matter. None of it matters. Who cares? None of it matters. I found a lot of strength in Ecclesiastes.